Hello everyone, this is your Cessna 172 instrument track ride. I suggest that you go back into the flight simulator and pass your first solo and your private pilot track ride before attempting to follow this tutorial. With that said, let's go. And set my heading to 330 degrees and head straight for NOLLA. The heading to NOLLA is listed at 326 degrees, but if you keep the ADF needle center, you'll find yourself on a heading closer to 325 degrees. I set my heading to 330 degrees because I'm not aiming directly at NOLLA, and my current position is a little bit to the left of the Seattle VOR. If I set a heading of 326 degrees, I will not be within 0.4 nautical miles of NOLLA when I get there. So check your flight analysis as much as you want and try to get as close as possible to NOLLA. At NOLLA, you will be at DME 8.1 from the Boeing Field International Airport. The auto marker light will flash and the ADF needle will flip. For the crossing to count, you must be at 0.4 nautical miles or less from NOLLA. The only confirmation that you have crossed NOLLA correctly is that the examiner tells you that you are clear to land on runway 13 right. That's it. So right now, pretty easy stuff. A quick summary is set nav1 radio to the 110.90, set your OBS to 130 degrees, fly to NOLLA on a 325 or 326 degrees, but make sure that you check your position in reference to the Seattle VOR. Descend to 2200 feet and your airspeed checking still off. So fly any speed that works for you. Now let me fast forward a little because we have 7 nautical miles to go to NOLLA. And here there's another ground reference that I use. This is the port and these are the cranes that you have to cross right after the procedure turn on your final descent to the airport. Okay, so let's fast forward again, and I will take you to the point when we reach 7.0 nautical miles, right before our procedure turn into NOLLA. So this is where I was aiming for, a little bit to the right. Now let's go back inside and set your heading to 320 degrees. Your heading must stay between 300 and 320 degrees for a full 10 seconds. As soon as that happens, she will evaluate your performance again. Hit pause again and wait for the examiner to say something. And this is the third point where you can fail your check ride.
You're cleared to land, runway 13 right.
Good, you're passed, so hit pause again. Now change your heading to 310 degrees. Reset your clock and just have your mouse ready on the clock. Hit pause and count 10 seconds. There you go. Now at 10 seconds, start your turn to 265 degrees. And be careful, you want it standard rate turn and you want it to take less than 30 seconds. If you don't bank at least 10 degrees, she won't recognize the turn, and if you take longer than 30 seconds to reach 265 degrees, she will fail you. And if you overshoot 265 degrees and turn back to it with a bank angle of more than 5 degrees, she will fail you also. To her, it looks like you have rolled out on 265 degrees and then immediately started your turn to 085 degrees. So she will fail you for starting that turn too early. After your turn, stay on 265 degrees for at least 55 seconds, but no more than 90 seconds. Then make a standard rate turn to the right to heading of 085 degrees. This turn is not as critical as the ones in the holding pattern. All that is necessary here is to make your bank angle close to 20 degrees. The goal is a heading of 085. During this turn, you will probably be farther away from BFI than DME 10.0. But don't worry about it. She checked your distance back at NOLLA and stopped looking at it after that. Here, start at standard rate turn to the right to 085 degrees and wait for the message in the upper left corner saying clear to land runway 13 right. There it is, you are doing good. Don't forget your altitude, it must be within 2100 and 2300 feet from NOLLA to the end of the 085 degree leg of the procedure turn. A quick review: at NOLLA, turn to 310 degrees, then turn to 265 degrees, flat for 1 minute, turn right to 085 degrees, hold 2200 feet, and airspeed checking still off. Okay, now let me fast forward to the end of this leg. And at the end of this leg, towards the end of the 085 leg, you will see the localizer needle beginning to move to the center. When you are within 3 degrees of the runway heading, she will adjust her tolerance checking for the ILS approach. This means that you now have 30 seconds to get lined up with the localizer. To do this, you must turn to a heading between 120 and 140 degrees. Now, while that is a 20-degree spread and it's all legal, only a heading of 130 degrees will get you to the runway. Here is where you're going to have to switch from auto to manual. It's very hard to maintain the needle center with the autopilot. So let's disengage our autopilot and just catch these needles back up. She's also going to give you 90 seconds to find the glide slope. And lastly, she turns off altitude checking. You are allowed to fly any altitude necessary, allowing you to follow the glide slope down to the runway. Now here comes another timer. You have 500 seconds, 8 minutes and 30 seconds to get below or about 300 feet. But if you follow the glide slope, this won't be a problem. This timer lets her fail you if you decide to abandon the approach and go do something else. I don't know who will do that after flying a very intense hour of this check ride, but you know, there's some crazy people out there. And finally, at 300 feet AGL, she turns off both the localizer and glide slope tolerances. So at this point, you are free to do pretty much whatever it takes to get to the runway. The only thing she's watching now is her stopwatch. You have 60 seconds to touch down. Of course, you don't know what your altitude is above ground level, so you are not going to know exactly when she starts those 60 seconds. But don't worry, just follow the glide slope. And that is it, you are about to finish your check ride. I really want to thank Mr. Gordon Wood. He created this manuscript that I've been reading to you with tricks and secrets and how to pass the instrument check ride for Flight Simulator 2004. I think he wrote it between January and February 2004. Here we go. There's a flared touchdown. Hit the brakes and just wait for the examiner to say something.
Great job. You passed the check ride.
Man, I hate her voice. Anyway, you pass. Go tell everyone that you are the man. But now, go redo it all over again without the autopilot. Thanks for watching. Fly safe.